Julian Jingles Reynolds, welcome to Profile.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
We're absolutely delighted to have you on the program. You have a range of different kind of experiences as a writer, documentary filmmaker, social entrepreneur. Those are just some of them. Yeah. Also a former journalist. We'll get to that. And one of the reasons we're talking to you at this point is you have a new book, released a new book, A Reason for Living, which at this point has been named by the New York Times as among the new books that you must read for 2023. First of all, when you heard this, how did you feel?
Very elated. I was a little bit shocked, but I knew it was a good novel. It is a good novel, and I expect much from it, so I saw it as a process in terms of when I got that word.
And this is something you've been working on for a while.
Yes. I actually began writing A Reason for Living in about 1966. Straight after I left Kingston College. I didn't go to sixth form. I didn't want to go to university because I knew I had a story to tell. And I just got the urge and, to just go and write the novel. So I was always writing. I read a lot as a child. I read voraciously, and I read adult novels because of the environment that I grew up in. They read, my uncle, who was Cuban, and my cousin, who went to St. George's College, they were avid readers, and they induced me, encouraged me to also read a lot. So I read a lot of things.
And you would tell stories, you would trade stories about the different things that you read.
Precisely, yes, very much. I would have to tell them what I read, and we do that. So that's the kind of environment that I was really in as a youngster, pre-teen, teen, and it just stayed with me. Also, an experience that I had while attending KC, Kingston College, is that whenever I got into any little trouble, and that the great headmaster, Douglas Forrest, he wouldn't punish me by suspending me or anything like that. What he did was to have me go into his office and get into the box with the books, and I would have to put the books up and in an orderly manner and all that. So I was exposed to that. And then on top of that, he would have made a present. He would gift me for doing that by giving me a couple of books. So I was always in that kind of environment, exposed to books and reading. And I was reading books that was really way ahead of my time as a youngster. I still have books that I got from Mr. Forrest, like Bertrand Russell, William Blake, Mom. These are things that really, I think, I didn't recognize it at the time, but the fact of the matter is that it really encouraged me and instilled that writing urge to tell stories. And it kept with me. Another thing I remember too as a child, which it's like a path that I was on, and I didn't recognize that. I went to Elletson Elementary School in East Kingston, in a place that is now, well, it's known as Dunkirk, Franklin Town. I was born in West Kingston, but when I got to about age 5 or 6, my mother just moved. I was born in Fletcher's Land, and then I lived in Jonestown for a couple of years, and then we shifted from there to East Kingston. So most of my growing up, I went to primary school in East Kingston. And I remember that I was the one who most of the times when we had recess was the one who everybody looked to put the little skits together that we would all be playing. And then that's how I even got the name Jingles from 57, I think, was from a character who was a part of the Hollywood period, Western, Wild Billy Hickok and Jingles. And some wise guys from Raytown or Dunkirk, wherever, saw a relationship between me and this character Jingles, and the name just stuck from then. But I remember that all the time I was the one who everybody was looking to say, well then, you be the police, or you be the chief, or you be whatever.
You are always organizing.
Always organizing. And
So you have that sort of level of exposure of, reading and this love and, learning about a lot of different kinds of environments, etc. And that influencing the path from that perspective, but also the kind of influence that your parents had, because they were, exposing you to different kinds of issues at the same time from a political perspective.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your parents.
Oh, remarkable, really. A gift that really, I'm really what they expected for me to be. I tell people, even until this day, that I was gifted from a child because my father was a port worker and a trade unionist, and he was also a builder. He was multifaceted. And from I can remember, he always told me the story about the 1938 labor struggles because he was a part of that. He fought with St. William Grant, and he called Buster the chief. And he was a member of the BITU.
Of the Bustamante Industrial Trade.
Yeah, my father was an early member. I don't know if he was a founding member, but he joined because he worked, he started working on the wharf at about 1936, he says. And so he was a part of that 1938 thing, and he always told me what went down, and he always told me about Aggie Bernard, St. William Grant, and the chief, which is Alexander Bustamante. So I was exposed to that understanding from then.
From your father?
From my dad.
But on the other hand...
My mother now was totally on the other side of the political spectrum. She believed in the People's National Party. So I'm fortunate that I grew up in a household.
Buster on one side, and Norman Manley on the other side.
And I've never heard my parents quarreling about politics. Never did. They argued about other things, financial, other women and all of that, but never politics. And it stuck with me to understand the dynamics that's what reality is. And I understood why my father, when he would tell me why he was a laborite, was because of the experience he had as a young man in the 1938 struggles.
I want to talk a little bit about how that also sort of shaped your own life, going on to work for the Gleaner,
yes,
but also going on to see similar kinds of issues in the United States. But we have to take our first break on Profile. My guest is writer, documentary filmmaker, and social entrepreneur, Julian Jingles Reynolds. Profile returns after these messages.